Oh, so you might notice, by the way, dear viewer, that we are in different positions, including me in what I can only describe as a completely unprofessional lounging like situation. And well, before we get to all that, I apologize for the unprofessionalism of this video, as always. Hello and welcome to our cosmic journey. Today is the 25th of November, 2023, at exactly 6:46 p.m. here in beautiful and freezing Snohomish, Washington, USA. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
So, our unprofessionalism is caused by the fact that we had a lovely Thanksgiving. There were two children. One is a friend's child, wonderful child. One is our great nephew, wonderful child. But we're pretty sure that they were disease bags and have given us all the diseases. Um, and
Yes,
so,
undoubtedly.
yeah, I fell asleep and I was like, I don't feel great last night. I woke up around 4 in the morning and I'm like, I'm really not great. Reading a book. And then I was like, okay, I'll just like kind of take some ibuprofen, take a nap. I wanted to get the video done this morning, but I was like, there's no way I can do it this morning. It's just like I don't feel good enough. And I was like, just going to, I couldn't nap also. So I was just feeling kind of crappy, but not nappy. Like I've been feeling like I've wanted to like
Crappy but not nappy.
crappy, but not nappy. And a little, I'm not going to say it because I think it's gross. It's visceral, but like out of this area. Um, And so I tried to take a nap, whatever. Trey came back from a walk. Trey was like, I'm taking a nap. I feel like crap. And this is us being professional and doing our duty while still being completely unprofessional in our lounging. I've got two blankets on. I've got a hot water bottle at my feet. I cannot get warm enough. How do you feel, Trey?
I think I'm a little bit in better condition than you are, but I'm definitely like, I have a pretty bad headache and yeah, I'm just a little under the weather. But even with all of
Yeah.
that, and even with Thanksgiving, taking up a fair amount of our time, I'm feeling pretty good about the work that got done this week, especially since we
Yeah.
got a pretty light cycle. Um, and I think got most of it done. There was one bug that didn't get in,
Well,
the vanishing chart bug. We'll
you
do that next cycle.
you have finished a lot. I did not. This is a kind of running theme with I did a lot of things. I just can't be bothered to like do anything in a cycle, which is going to be a problem for us eventually and needs to be fixed, but not yet. So today's episode is called Chartsgiving. It is episode 10, but it is the end of cycle 11. And due to that, there is a little bit of, I'm going to go backwards in time here. There's a little bit of gift to ourselves that we had done for the commemoration of our 10th cycle completed. We're also going to talk about in design, like we've been talking a lot about like OUX, and I'm like, it's all about the connectivity of software, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to show you something about how connections can play out in actually interesting, maybe not useful, but interesting ways. And this is what the power of OUX is. Before that, though, we're going to have Trey, who's going to be showing house divisions and changing houses with hotkeys. But before we do all of that, of course, we have to do a check-in.
Yeah.
And we'll make it real easy because I don't feel very good. Unless you would like to. I'm doing it 2 weeks in a row. And Trey's
Oh,
okay with that. That's
oh,
okay.
I
Trey's
see.
okay with it.
That's why I was asking you if you were doing. I thought I was on the hook for it, but then you were like, "No, I'm doing it." And I'm like, "All right, cool."
Well, if you want to do it right now,
No, I
if you
don't have
want to
anything
like,
prepped. I don't have
if you
anything
want to no
prepared.
scope this,
I would be coming up with something on the fly, and it would not be good. I'd be
that's
like,
fine. Mine's,
what's your favorite key on the keyboard?"
oh, that's actually a good one. Let's talk about that one. My favorite key on the keyboard is the backslash key. And why? For the longest time, I had blindness when I was a child that the backslash key existed, and I used to use a system with DOS that required you to do um, directory traversing with backslashes, right? And so I didn't know that the backslash key existed for a long time. And so what I would do is like CD space dot dot. Actually, you didn't need a space in DOS. CD dot dot enter, CD dot dot enter, CD dot dot enter, CD dot dot enter. And then I would do CD blah, CD blah, CD blah. So you're traversing all the way up the tree and all the way down another tree. And my uncle Scott said, why are you doing that? Like, why aren't you just like, you know where you're going, right? Yes, I know where I'm going. But why don't you just write this in backslash? The backslash key doesn't exist. He's like, it's right there. He literally pointed out the keyboard. It's like, it's right there. And I was like, oh my God, I just had this like blindness to the whole the backslash experience. And so because of that, it is kind of my secret key. It's my favorite key. And I like how apps have now taken like backslash or command backslash to kind of hide the UI. It's like the mystery key, right? Like we're gonna take all of this away. We're gonna put up our smoke screen. The backslash is the smoke screen to me. We will also implement command backslash as the smoke screen, I think, in Cosmic, purely because of my lack of ability to see it on a keyboard. What's your favorite key?
I don't know.
That was a much better question. You've never heard that story from me, by the way.
No, never. That's new information. I love it.
We've been together for 20 years.
I feel like there was a long time where because I had an Amiga in the early days, and I also had a DOS machine, and so I was like going back and forth between those worlds, and I remember there being just a lot of confusion about backslash versus forward slash, and I could never remember which one we were supposed to use in any particular context. Somehow it sunk in after after all the years, but I'm mostly in Linux these days. When I'm on my Windows machine, I'm still in Linux because I'm using WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, trees forward slashes won the tree debate for sure.
Yeah,
the backslash now is the mystery key. It is. It's been relegated to mystery.
Yeah, and it's backslash and then it's pipe, which pipe is a great character because
absolutely.
Pipe is used extensively, for example, extensively in Elixir and also in shell scripting, because you use it to send something to something else. You pipe it,
move the data along.
And because we're Cosmic Plumbing, I feel like the pipe character is especially apropos to what we do.
You want to know something? I had never thought about that until this moment. What a great checking question. You did very well this time.
Yeah, not bad for pulling something out of my ass. Should I do demo?
Absolutely. So let's talk about house divisions.
Yeah.
And the difference between real time versus kind of server calls and what that means. And we're going to show this in design as well. I forgot that we did this as well.
Yeah. Okay. So this looks a little bit different than what we showed last time. It's still obviously very bare bones, but it's an actual chart.
It's an actual chart.
It's not showing a lot of things. But what this is showing is two things. It's showing the Placidus houses for right now. Actually, this is for right now, Berlin. Yeah, so this is actually not local here to Snohomish, but this is right now Berlin. It's also not rotated, so the first house is actually, I think it's this one.
Yeah, you can tell where at least the first, fourth, and seventh are because it's making a cross.
Well, they all cross over, right? So it's kind of hard to know exactly which ones they are. Yeah.
Jeez, I'm terrible at astrology.
Yeah. So, but anyway, So the other thing that is a little bit difficult to tell here, and actually, when I first demoed this to Jake, he was like, "Take a screenshot and then wait a few seconds, and then take another screenshot, and then compare the two screenshots." So because the houses, the ascendant moves relatively quickly through the sky, like it, traverses the wheel in 24 hours, and so this is actually moving in real time.
Up to this point, Trey was saying, sorry to interrupt, but Trey was saying, like, he showed me the computer. He's like, "Is this moving? Stare at it." I'm looking at this line of the icon, and I'm like, "I've got a life hack for you. It's going to blow your mind. Take a screenshot and then wait, and then take another screenshot." He's like, "Okay, I guess you could do that too."
Yeah, it worked. It worked great.
Yeah,
so this is actually moving in real time. Actually, since we've been just talking here, I've noticed that this has gone a little bit, and of course, the houses are moving this direction. So yes, so that's cool. So we are rendering the houses. We're rendering the houses in real time. But even more cool is that while these are not the production hotkeys, the hotkeys that we're actually going to go out with, I can hit the W key right now and switch to whole sign houses, and I can hit E to go back to Placidus houses. And the cool thing about this is that, so the chart, as we demoed last time, so this chart is rendering every second. And this is the server log, you can see it this time, right?
Yeah. You shared your whole screen this time. You did great.
Yeah. So this is the server log, and nothing is hitting the server right now, even though this is rendering in real time as we've shown before. But if I switch it over to whole sign, then you can see that we got a call to update the perspective, because the perspective is what contains what house system you're using, along with a whole bunch of other things. And we said, like, hey, we want to update that to whole sign. And then we made sure that we do some stuff in our backend system, and then we pass that back to as above. And then it says, hey, here's your updated perspective, change the chart.
I never noticed, by the way, that the function that you have on perspective to do the change is called hot smart update, which, by the way, I'm going to also say that that is the subtitle of our podcast, hot smart update.
Hot smart update. Yeah. So there's a bunch of, I have a bunch of these functions of hot, like hot swap, hot, like, because they're making changes to the perspective without actually saving them.
Yeah.
So you're
hot swapping.
yeah,
Exactly.
you're modifying in real time the perspective, but it still has to go through our like gatekeeper system. It has to go through all of our perspectives are defined within the database, so they're this kind of like dynamic thing, but they're contained within Sobolo within the server. So yeah, so this is really great. This is like showing, and it's been actually not, as I said last time, it's a lot less heinous to develop in this mode of having a bunch of like front end TypeScript stuff and then having a bunch of back end or not. It's like back end through live view, but there's this live WebSocket connection that we're over, so you can sort of send events back and forth in real time, and it's not it doesn't cause re-renders. It's like it's not as bad as it could be.
For Trey's big feelings about this, check out episode 6. Click the link in the upper right hand corner right now. Episode 6, our doomed metal band, for his feelings about developing in this platform, which is now by episode, we're in episode 10. 4 weeks later, you're feeling much better about.
Yeah. We've got enough code in place now that it's actually, and these charts are rendering with our new front end rendering system, so it's like it's very all that capability for animation and everything is in there. So there's a ton of potential that's there, and now we just need to like chug forward.
Yeah, we have to funnel that potential into hotness. I understand that you did say it's hot swapping, like that was the reason why you called it that, but it's also sexy, and we can be
hot as in sexy and hot as in fast.
Hot as in fast and sexy. That is. Boy, we sound like the worst types of Silicon Valley douchebags right now. That's great. That's exactly what I want to be.
This company's a rocket ship. Get on board. To the stars, literally.
One other thing. I'm going to do the marketing pitches. You just keep quiet during the money meetings. Can you just keep quiet? Thanks. One other thing. So you go through a chart. The whole chart moves counterclockwise, and I think it's problematic for all types of new people that come to astrology that don't really have a foundation in this, because things feel like they should move like the clock, but when you're going across the zodiac, it goes counterclockwise. We have a house rules version of Yahtzee, which is called Yerpsy, and when we were starting to play Yerpsy, I was moving the dice counterclockwise, which caused the family to be very upset with me.
Have a meltdown.
And they had a meltdown and they couldn't deal with it. And I was like, well, welcome to my life. So obviously something is sticking about all of this, like moving counterclockwise thing. Anything else with like hotkeys, house divisions that you want to show?
No, I think that was mostly it. I think after next cycle, we'll have some more things rendering in the chart, so it'll be a little bit more fun of a demo. But
yeah, it's not fun of a demo day today because Trey and I do not feel good at all. Yes, but we'll make it fun next time.
Yeah, and we also had a week of visiting with family and stuff like that. I'm pretty happy with what I got done this week, all things considered.
Yeah, me too, actually. Even though I've finished no tickets. But I felt very good about what I did. And what I want to talk about right now is a little bit of like the manifestation of what OOUX can be, and the reason why you do something like OOUX, otherwise known as object-oriented user experience, where you think very deeply around like all of the system components, the nouns in the system, the relationship of those nouns to each other, the calls to action, and the attributes. And today I'm going to show you what the relationship, so the noun, I'll show you a noun, I'll show you the relationship, and then I'll talk about a call to action. And what I will do, the reason I'm doing this is to show you how this might manifest one day in Cosmic. And you can say, boy, Jake, that's really not interesting, but just know that there's probably interesting stuff in there. Just let us know down below how uninteresting this is. Like, subscribe, comment. I mean, if you don't find it interesting, you should give us a like. And if you do find it interesting, you should give us a like. I think that's the way it should work.
Yeah, that's how the algorithm works, I'm pretty sure.
So what you're seeing here is every object in the system, and this is being cleaned up as we go because of reasons, but you'll see that there's interpretation. So an interpretation is something that could sit on a chart. I think we actually talked about interpretation last week in episode 9. So you can click the link at the upper right-hand corner to go take a look at that. This interpretation has relationships that are, some are required, some are not required. You can see here, there's this one. An interpretation has one date time that is when the interpretation took place. And you're like, okay, sure, it has a date time. Why is that interesting? If I look at the calls to action and I look at date time, so calls to action means like, what are the verbs you can take on the nouns in order to do something with this? You can see that any date time in the system, if you're a member, meaning you're logged into the system, you can cast a chart from that date time. So essentially every date time in the system is going to have a way for you to cast a chart from it. Okay, that's interesting. What does that mean? So you could absolutely have this interaction, which I'm excited about. I don't know if our members are going to be excited about it, but I drew this out for Trey because I saw this relationship and I was like, this is hilarious. Imagine that this is a natal chart. Actually, it could be any chart. And you see that Saturn and Jupiter have a pretty strong opposition to each other. And there's this like comment bubble here that's like 1. So this is this could be a way that we show interpretation. You might be fooled by this being actual UI. This is not actual UI. These are me just drawing things. It's not going to look like this, by the way. So you see this line here and you see this 1 and you're like, oh, what's this comment? So you click on the comment, it zooms into the comment, it says, and then this strong opposition of Jupiter and, oh, I said Mars, it's not Mars, and Saturn means that blah, blah, blah. And it's by, oh no, I'm dead. That will be Trey's username in the system, I suspect. And he wrote this 3 days ago. And we're like, what? Imagine that Trey was very emotional during this time. Like, well, God, who peed in his cornflakes? What was happening 3 days ago? And let's say that Trey, who's a native in the system, shares his birth location and his time and date of birth. You've seen it many times. It is the 28th of February, 1974 at 14:20. I've seen it so many times that I know, in Carson City, Nevada. So you click on this, and all of a sudden, what you're seeing is Trey's natal chart as the radix chart, and then the transits chart. And you look at the transits, you're like, oh. And then what you can do is you can put an interpretation on this chart to be like, it seemed that Trey was having a really rough day in this kind of thing. And to like have somebody write a comment and then somebody analyze the comment about like what their space weather looked like that day compared to their natal chart. I find that to be absolutely delightful. I don't think our members are going to be.
And even if even if you weren't sharing your natal chart, you could still look at the chart at that moment, which could tell you a lot about like what was going on. And like maybe the location is there, maybe it's not there. I mean, there's definitely like privacy concerns that we need to make sure we don't, but yeah, there's definitely something really cool here. I also like the idea that you could like maybe hover over that 3 days ago and see like a little snapshot chart.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a little like card of like, well, if you want to go explore what you don't know, oh no, I'm dead is Trey, let's just say, like you want to go explore, oh no, I'm dead's chart, against the transits that were 3 days ago, and then being like, ooh, this is this is horrible. This is weird. And like, you could imagine the kind of, I would say like hilarity, but also if you were like deeply researching this kind of thing, to take somebody's interpretation that they gave at a certain time and then make an interpretation about their interpretation based upon information
like
in
reaction videos.
It is astrology reaction. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the first member who is an astrological influencer that finds this is going to be so delighted that they're going to create a video for it, and they're going to be like, I can't believe that they did this. It's ridiculous and fun. And it's everything that we want to be. We want to be serious and studious and like thorough, but also not be that in sacrifice of being kind of approachable and fun. Yeah. And there's a certain kind of approachability and fun that goes to that still shows that you are a serious tool that I have never seen anywhere in the astrological community. There's going to be probably, I'm going to guess 14 of these things that I'll sketch out and I'll go to Trey and I'm like, what about this? And I bet you Trey's going to be like, that is wacky. And, we'll decide what we want to do. We're getting to prioritization next. Right now, we're kind of widening out, and then we go to prioritization next after we do all the CTA stuff.
Yeah.
The calls to action.
Yeah.
Because, and this is a good, I think this is a good gateway. What was the word? Segue to the next section, which is what we decided is, okay, let's go all the way back. So a couple of days, maybe like a week and a half ago, I want to say, maybe a week ago, our friends at OpenAI created a set of GPTs that are not just ChatGPT, but that can do all types of other things. There's one that can do there's one that can do images, and you can feed it images and kind of like shape it in a custom way to be like, I would like images like that. There's one that does data analysis. You can ask it about current events and it will do the research for you. So I was asking it about certain sports scores and like how certain football teams were doing and what was the expectation of those things, because I don't want to go view a bunch of web pages that are horrible. I would like somebody to synthesize this for me. And I think the data analytics part was super fun. I won't share. We'll have to talk about this later. I might share the video of what we call the Brussels sprout challenge. Trey, do you want to talk a little bit about what the Brussels sprout challenge is here in the household?
There's a sort of long running thing with the family about some of the family members take a very long time to chew things, and some family members eat things rather quickly, and it's a very
Yes.
large variance between the two. So it's not really a challenge, it's more just a data capturing thing of everybody eats 3 1/2 Brussels sprout and then choose it to the point that it's comfortably swallowable, and then record the number of chews, and then we put that into a data thing. And yeah.
And I had the data thing. I may have deleted it. And it's probably best not to share data like this because maybe some of our friends and family don't want to know that their number of Brussels sprout chews are showing up on the internet. But after we did the data analysis through ChatGPT, then what Trey said was like, let's write a poem.
First, there's Jake with chews so keen, 19, then 17, a chewing machine. Christopher follows, steady and bright, 9 chews each time with all of his might.
And the poem about the data was a huge hit. We got so many congratulations from people who were like, that was beautiful. I can't believe you wrote that. And then we said, we didn't write that. A robot wrote that. And then they immediately, it took away all of the goodness that we did. Because they said,
you threw us out of the house.
They threw us out of they threw us out of the house. And we were outside, and that's why we got sick. So
Yeah.
it was all that. But one of the things that they created as a custom GPT was a sticker generator. And I said to Trey, I was like, we're coming up to cycle 10. We don't have very good stickers for our laptops that are conducive to like cosmic plumbing. Let's see if we can use this GPT to create a sticker. And then, we'll give it, we'll kind of tell it what the first 10 cycles were all about. And then it'll create something. And after a little bit of massaging, it created this. And we were so excited about it. Ignore the cycle 10 that was added on later, but we didn't put that in there. But we have this sticker now that that adorns both of our laptops. Also, it was such a hit with the family that some of the family also wanted them, even though they did not contribute to cycle 10 at all. The idea here, without making it like a club, what we want to do is make these like badges of honor, right? So once you complete with us a cycle, then you can get the cycle sticker. And I like the idea that cycle 10 is going to be this like ultra rare thing that only Trey and I, and for some reason Trey's mother, has right now. I think she just liked the look of it, actually.
It's so cool. Who doesn't like the look of it?
It's amazing. I really like it. It's framed in this piece of software, by the way, which is called Affinity Designer 2 Beta. And you might be like, this looks a lot like Adobe Illustrator, but like bad. And you would be right. So what our friends at Affinity Designer decided to do, which is the way that we did not do software, was to basically take a piece of software that sits on the market today. And then they said, we're just going to take what they did and lift it and shift it to us. So all of the, and maybe some of these are good decisions, all the hotkeys are the same, but I will say that there's a couple things that Adobe Illustrator does that are very poor and horrible, and they do those things poor and horribly. And what Trey and I have decided to do with our startup is to be informed by our predecessors, but not to copy our predecessors, because we have something unique and new to provide in 2023. And why would we want to take the same assumptions that like professional astrology software has been taking since literally the 90s? So we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Exactly.
That's our take on that kind of thing. Trey, is there anything else that that you wanted to discuss today? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we're kind of sick and cracked out, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no. I think we covered everything.
Okay, let's give a little Thanksgiving gift to the viewer. You're welcome. We're going to make this short. We appreciate you. We love you. We hope that you had, if you're in the United States, a beautiful and lovely Thanksgiving, or if you're around the world, that you just had a lovely week and you were thankful in your own way.
Yeah.
All right. Be well, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.